Here we go. And we're live. Okay, there we go. Right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another live stream. Because obviously I don't do enough live streams on this channel at the moment. I thought I'd just do another one, but this time it's actually for a good reason. I've got with me, as you can see, a very special guest, Ronnie from HART Pickers. Hi, Ronnie.
What's up?
This is a bit weird because, you know, like we've been talking for about 5 minutes and then we have to kind of be like, hey, how are you, Ronnie? You know, it's you know, it's a bit, you know, yeah, we've got to go back. Just want to say a few highs to everyone in the chat as well. We've got a fair few people that have popped in. We have got Brad from 2 Aussie Thrifters, Reseller King. Good night, darling. She's Always Flipping, Mandy, Tori, Jazz Searle, Fritzstel, Marrakesh 7, Andrew, Money Mental UK, The Vinegar Jar, Bucklewhite, Tracy, Tommy, The Seam Store, Thrift Beast, Stu Mandry, Shell Staruni, eBay Queen. She's a big fan of yours, Ronnie. Just to let you know, there's a couple of like fans of yours in the chat who really do like what you do, and so it would be really good to get into that. And a whole bunch of other people. We've got Landshark Picker, we have got a lot of Josh, we've got Georgina Gill, hi Georgina, we have got Flippin' Fantastic Finds Kelly, anyone that I've missed I do apologize, Jody Mitoma, but we want to, you know, get on with the chat and hopefully you guys will enjoy some of the stuff we may have to say, and in particular Ronnie as well. So Ronnie, thank you for joining. It's been a while since you've actually been on like a live stream. A lot's changed here on YouTube. You're gonna have to get used to this whole StreamYard thing. How are you finding it?
I don't know how to. I haven't figured out how to actually figure out how to make a live video yet on my own. Like I've jumped in a few of like Tommy Bernard's things here and there, just because I had some free time, you know. But like, I'm so confused on like the whole setup. Just Google. Why did you have to thing?
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Ronnie here is what we would call a bit of an OG. He's been doing not just reselling for a while, but this whole YouTube reselling thing. And Ronnie used to be part of like a really, really fun show called The Pickers Church, and where Ronnie and Chad Golden Finger Picker, Pete Craigslist Hunter used to join in as well sometimes. Used to do like a very regular chat. And I think, was that probably the last time you guys were doing like a regular, you yourself had done like a regular live stream when it came to reselling content?
Yeah, I would say that was the most recent. It was probably about. I think the last one we did was probably. I just looked at it the other day. It was like me and Pete did one probably like 6-7 months ago.
6-7 months. That's not as. It seems a lot longer. It seems a lot longer. I haven't made
a video myself, and I mean, other than this week, it's been like. I think I went like 3.5-4 months without making a video. I just didn't feel like.
And it's good. It's a good point. You know, you have started to put out some content this week, and it's already proven to be really popular. Like it's really interesting to see a day in the life. I know Tommy Bernard in the chat has been on your back about this. Has he been quite like a part of getting you back into the saddle, as it were?
More or less. I mean, because I've talked to him a lot, and you know, other people have too, and it's like, where you been? When you start getting messages, like in the beginning, it was like a month passed, nobody would say anything. Then it was like 2 months passed, I'd get a message, 1 or 2 a week, and then like over the last month, it was like, where the hell you been? Getting like 2 or 3 a day. It was like, okay.
Do something.
And come back.
But just to fill people in the chat in who don't know, why would people be so keen to get more content out of you? And just to give people an idea of what you do, how you do it. So let's just start off with what's your basic eBay business premise? Like, how would you describe yourself as an eBay seller? Like, if you were to kind of give like a short, 2-sentence sell.
I would say very picky, and I don't know. I rather source than list. So I rather go to 20 stores in a week and find things I think are either going to sell fast or sell for good profit than just go to one or two stores and just, pick up a bunch of mass stuff and then something sit forever and so on and etc. It's just I never liked that. I don't know. Last year being a below standard seller most of the year really changed how I went out and store stuff, how I went out and thrifted, because I have a very small inventory. Also, we had a warehouse, didn't work out for us due to he was moving in this space. He wanted us to kind of buy it, but it was cold and wet. If people remember, it was just not a. I picked the wrong place. I took the L on that one. I'll admit it.
Yeah, I've just noticed a comment there from Shazad, who's a regular commenter, says quality over quantity. Definitely, I'd say like your store is way more boutique. And what I would say is like, do you just want to clarify firstly on eBay? Are you currently just selling clothes, or do you sometimes put non-clothing items up onto your store?
We do pick up some non-clothing items. It just depends. Like you're in a thrift store, you kind of know. Like we picked up a bunch of electronics a few weeks ago. There was a Bose stereo system I picked up for $50. It was like a surround sound system. I just parted it out because it really technically wasn't complete. I parted it out and sold everything for like probably just under 300. One of the remotes, there was actually two remotes. One didn't even belong to a Bose system. It was something else
that they just bundled together at the thrift store.
They just threw, literally, this guy came in and put it in a tote, and they just put it on one price for everything. They didn't check nothing. I just parted it out, and then everything, sold. Like the unit itself sold for like $80. I had one random speaker. I didn't sell for much, but then the remotes sold pretty well. One sold for like 35, and then another one sold for a Bose one sold for like 65, 70.
Wow.
And a few other pieces.
And so you do get the odd thing that if you come across it, and again it meets your, I suppose, criteria. Because one thing I want to mention is like I was watching like your video earlier, and you were like, nothing special, very bread and butter sales, and like the cheapest thing you're selling is like $50. Like I think I saw like a pair of golf-based jeans or golf trousers, and you sold them for like $51 plus shipping, and that's like pretty much like your minute. That's what you call bread and butter, and to a lot of people, to a lot of people, that's not easily achievable. So, what's your inventory size? What's your average selling price? And how do you maintain that? That's like the gold dust, basically. Let's get down to the gold dust.
Yeah, I think we have an inventory right now of about 615 items. I just listed 57 things over the weekend that we found last week, for the most part. And, most of the things I tried, because we do go after a lot more suits and sport coats, you get the higher higher sale price, technically, with some other items. What was the other? We sell probably right now we're almost at like a 20 to 25% sell through rate. So things are, it's going pretty well. Hopefully in the spring, after we get through the winter months, I want to start looking at office space again, because I kind of want to get some of this stuff out of the house. We live in a very small, like 2-bedroom apartment condo thing, and it's not ideal for what we do. It does get in the way, and the wife does get a little confused and cranky about the clutter.
Yeah, it's having stock at home is definitely not easy. We had to move. We had to move our stock back recently from an office space because it just didn't work out for us financially. We've had a really rocky year on eBay where it just didn't do as well as we thought we would. And having it back at home is definitely awkward, I find. But like the fact that you can keep such a high like average sale price. I mean, Shelley just says he maintains the ASP by avoiding itty bitty RC parts. And yes, okay. But like, how do you like like what's your kind of criteria? Because obviously you got like a 600 odd listings. You mentioned you did 57 listings at a weekend. I mean, is that particularly average for you in terms of a number of listings? Do you try to list every day, or do you just source, like you said you like sourcing, so do you just source a lot and then put on stock in bulk? What's your kind of process in terms of actually getting items up? And like I said, what's your kind of what are your like basics for deciding whether you're going to pick up that sport coat or that suit?
I like listing in bulk when it comes to this. I tried last month. I tried doing like I was talking to a few different people. I was like, I'm gonna try to list 10 items a day. After about halfway through the month, I said, this is bullshit.
You were just like,
I don't like this way of doing things. It's not what I like. I like going out, finding the stuff, and then kind of makes the draft form, and then I'll get to take pictures all at the same time for the most part. It's what I like to do, and then I'll just go through and make sure all the listings are correct before I, make them live and so on, etc. And when it comes to just buying things, we'll buy things that sell for only $25 occasionally or 30 even, but they're things I think are going to sell fast for the most part. Like they'll sit around no more than 30 days most of the time. Sometimes they do, but I feel you do need also some of the smaller bread and butter things in your store to bring people in. You need traffic still into your eBay store. So they may come for that item, but they may buy something else. So they may buy that item from us. We get a lot of repeat buyers, and we don't do anything special for that. I think it's just people buy something from us, they enjoy it, they like it, and then they'll come back again and buy something else later down the line and stuff like that. It's just trying to make a rapport, try to have quick service, trying to sell, we have free returns. We charge shipping. I ain't giving anything away for free. But people don't mind. I think when you sell a higher dollar price thing, though,
you kind of get a different customer a little bit, maybe, you think?
You definitely do get a different customer. If you ever go to your reports on PayPal, it does have a little section, and I was talking with this about somebody, and it says like 40% of my buyers or something make over $100,000 a year. And I thought that was funny.
What? That can't. How does that? Where this is on your PayPal?
I'll show you after.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Yeah, but just one thing I wanted to say though, like not to say that you glossed over it, but you're obviously used to doing things the way you do things. But even finding $25 to $30 items as your basic would be quite an achievement. I mean, I know how hard we've had to work on our general store. We've only got an average selling price currently this year of £31, which is about $45 average selling price. In comparison, why don't you share like what your selling price is, because I'm sure it's going to be a bit higher than that. And how long did it take you to get to this stage where you can actually now consistently make that right decision? Like, because you said you will buy something that sells for 25, but it's going to go fast. Like, how, give people an idea of a time frame, because this doesn't happen overnight. Like, this current Ronnie HART that is beasting it on eBay hasn't just been doing this like for a few months. Like, how long did it take for it clicked?
I do have to say though, like, you kind of glossed over your own thing of doing close to 45. I mean, that's pretty good too. Nothing to sneeze at, nothing to like shush it away like, oh, it ain't nothing. That's not bad either. We have somewhere around, it fluctuates month to month. I think the highest I ever had was 90 one month.
Wow.
February, like 2 years ago. But if we sell a lot more jackets or suits, it's going to be up there. I think that month we had like a $700 sale on a jacket.
Nice.
So, it kind of pushes up. You have a few $300-$400 sales, all of a sudden, you're going to be a little bit higher, and you don't sell as many golf polos that month. It's going to look good. But, it's all of like.
But it's but the thing is, to achieve 90 is, that is special, because. But what would you say is like your regular month? Then what would you say, like comfortably?
between, I would say, 65 and 75
See,
for the
that's
most part.
that's still not too shabby. I mean, if you were to compare yourself against, for example, Pete, that Craigslist hunter who has like a bricks and mortar shop, and he aims for like the $100 ASP, I think, with all the walk-in stock that he gets. So to get 65 plus is still, to get from 45 to 65 is a big jump, is what I'm trying to get at. It's exponentially harder, because I think it's quite easy to get to $20-$30 or £20-30 average selling price, but then the higher you go, I think it does demand that much more. And like, it's about, you obviously know what to look for, because even when you step out of clothing, you're still buying stuff that's good value. So I mean, I remember, like, you just mentioned the Bose system. That's another good quality bit of electronics. But even when you bought a cast iron frying pan, I remember, you don't just buy any old cast iron frying pan. You pick out something that's pretty special. I mean, you want to just share that story as well, because not many people will have heard of a frying pan that costs as much as the one that you picked up.
Yeah, I mean, when we came across this Griswold frying pan, we do a lot of estate sales and stuff and so on, etc. And estate sales here, you go to estatesales.net, you go to your area, your city, whatever you want to be, and you can see the pictures of the sale upcoming. Sometimes they'll even give you great details. You could research a good deal before the sale even starts to figure out if it would even be worth going to that sale. Now, one thing is, you always want to be early to a estate sale. You want to show up, especially about an hour, at least an hour early, depending on where you are. Where we are in the Cape Cod, we're about an hour south of Boston. A lot of people, especially in the summer months, do not want to deal with coming to Cape Cod. You got to cross a bridge. You got to deal with traffic. We're in a very, very touristy area. So a lot of people that resell or antique deals and stuff like, they don't want to deal with the Cape. So we have our own select people we deal with. We know when I go to a sale, I know who the other clothing sellers are. I know who some of these other people are. Automatically, I know what they do. So if I may be 6th or 10th person in line, I could look and know that 9 people in front of me, they have no interest in clothing or anything like that. So, and a lot of times clothing is overlooked at estate sales anyway. And because we live in a higher cost of living area, New England in general is high, but especially Boston, south of Boston, Cape Cod is extremely, it's one of the higher places to live in the world. It's I mean, not the world, sorry, United States. It's like usually in the top 10, but like in the bottom of the top 10, 8, 7, in that area. It's not as high as San Fran or New York, or like Manhattan, I would say, because you can't really break up New York like that, because you go to certain areas.
Sure.
It's not all that great, but
yeah. So you went to this estate sale, and the Griswold pan.
Well, I seen it on a wall, and I knew from that brand before. We've sold a lots of that brand. I told my wife that if it was maybe a specific number, if it was a larger pan, we had to buy it. And of course, I left her at that sale. She was like 5th in line, and I went to another sale and get some bits and pieces from that sale. And so when she went in there, it wasn't where the pictures were. They had it placed on a different table. And she found that out by she went looking around the house, going through the glass, trying to figure out where it was. And she realized that they placed it in a different area. She found it was $75. And I remember, like, I was just going to buy it. I win, lose, or draw. I was like, we got to buy this. Walking around the store, around the house, looking for anything else. I'm on my phone trying to find that specific pan, because Griswold pan, they'll have like usually a 3-digit code, and that's the number, like a serial number, and you can look it up and figure it out. Like this pan was on Griswold, it was a 13, size 13, and the numbers were 720. You can look it up on eBay now. There's probably 1 or 2. At that time, there was none on eBay, and I told Chad, I was like, I can't find anything. Go on WorkPoint and look it up. He looked it up. He put in the wrong number. He spelled Griswold wrong. And he's like, I can't find nothing. And I was like, I'll just take a chance. And then we realized later he spelled it wrong.
Oh gosh.
So we wind up, I put it on, cleaned it up a little bit, put it on. It was a Griswold frying pan. It had the slanted logo, had the heat ring, all these little different things you want to find in a skillet from them. And I did a video that, to kind of tell you the age of the pans and everything like that. They make cast iron for the most part. They make various, I mean, they even make like mailboxes and
Anything to do with metal work, like iron,
yeah,
cast iron,
like
basically.
all kinds of waffle makers and skillets and muffin pans. So, there's a good variety of stuff, but not every piece is going to be worth a lot.
No, of course.
So anyway, we found it, put it online. I think I put it for like $2,000 or best offer, and immediately we had an offer for 1,400. So I waited. I waited like 12 hours just to see if anything else would happen. And I wasn't gonna, because you have 24 hours for an offer. You're like, yeah, just sit back and relax. My wife goes the next one. We put it up on a Sunday night, and my wife goes, it was Monday morning. She goes, you better take that.
$1,400. That
Right.
just to clarify, guys, $1,400 for a frying pan. I mean, but the thing is, like, it's so tempting to just put that down to like, hey, you were just lucky, right place, right time. But there is a theme of like picking up or knowing what quality is, isn't there? I think there is a theme where you start to realize what quality is, no matter what your niche. So your main niche, and by the way, you're a great example as well of the argument of niching down, because sometimes people find comfort in being a generalist, because it, when you're selling on eBay especially, different things move at different speeds during the year, but in the main you just do clothing, so you're a great example of that. But also just generally spotting quality, understanding what quality is, because whether you're buying clothes, electronics, or frying pans, you seem to know what to look for. I mean, would you say that was something that came pretty quickly to you, or do you think that's something that you've just had to earn and like learn yourself?
I mean, it was just one of those things that it's this whole thing of learning is for me anyway. I retain anything. You watch other people's videos. I think the Griswold thing, I kind of knew that they were collectible,
Mm-hmm.
but then I watched Terminal 99 a few times, and
Yeah.
I watch them all the time actually. But you see them pick up one of these every once in a while, and you're like, You're like, okay, maybe they sell for good money. I think he sold one for like $300 or $400 or $500, and I'm like, oh
Right.
damn, they have actually more value than I thought. So you look on eBay, you look at Griswold, you start looking at the logos, start looking at which ones go for big money and stuff like that. And that's what I still do to this day. I'll figure out a brand for the first time or something. I'll go on eBay and I'll research it. I'll go to the website, I'll research it. And I think that's a big part of not getting stale in this business and staying on top of your game is actually by researching. You can't just expect to keep selling the same 20 brands that you did 10 years ago. Like everything's changed, and especially now, like fashion in the last few years is very different than it was. Things go out in and out so quick now, and you got to stay up on top
Well,
of it a
I,
little
I
bit.
can't I can't imagine you reading Harper's Bazaar or Vogue though, Ronnie. I
Oh,
mean,
hell no.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's a very good point, though. It's a very good point because things do move quickly, and again, like, I just want to emphasize to people that like, Ronnie, I think you're being quite humble about this. I'm trying to prize this out of you almost, but this is not, like, if someone flukes something, you can say, okay, it was a one time, it was a fluke. But this guy consistently pulls out high ticket, high dollar items that any reseller would be proud of. I mean, you've done the same thing with like a P-wing cardigan, Ralph Lauren polo P-wing cardigan.
Yeah, we had a vintage. We were up in like New Hampshire for that one. We went up to New Hampshire and we're just going to some different places. It's about
Is
2
New
hours.
Hampshire, and so it's 2 hours from where you live. Would you call that an affluent area as well, or would that be part of the?
I mean, it's north of Boston. The thing is, Massachusetts, New England, southern Maine, Rhode Island, even Rhode Island's very expensive. Like New England in general, Northeast is not the cheapest place to live. A lot of people have good jobs in Boston, but they may live in New Hampshire an hour away. They because Boston's really expensive. They may live near Worcester, Massachusetts, which is 45 minutes west of the state. They live down along what they would consider the South Shore, off of, down to us, because the housing gets cheaper as you go. But I mean, you're still talking what could cost you $400,000-$500,000 for a starter home. Like it's not. We live in a very expensive place, so we may find stuff because there's money, but at the same time, your cost of living is so much higher. So it's not like rents here push upwards of very easily $2,000+ a month, and that's like
Yeah,
you're in the hood, $2,000 a month.
Wow, for $2,000 just gets you the hood. That's quite expensive.
Not that bad over here. There's a few towns that would stay it for the life of me, but I mean, but it's we find what we find. We catered what we look for due to where we are. It just happened. When we first started our channel, you can go back, watch the first year. We really wasn't going after clothes. We were there with the damn scanner going through books or games and yard sale stuff like crazy. I kind of got away from yard sales a little bit and, kind of started to look for other things. Then when we started, I had to learn. I'm like, okay, there's so much clothing in a store. Then I narrowed it down. Kind of, I stay away from women's for the most part, but every once in a while, one of our local stores will like highlight something in their boutique section or something. Or if I'm going through a new rack that just hit the floor, I see something. It's hard to leave it behind, but I won't go looking through the women's section particularly.
Your research is something you've mentioned. So if you pick up a brand, you hear about a brand, you're going to do your own due diligence on it. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I just want to go into the chat as well, because I know I've not been paying as much attention as I'd like to the chat. Sorry, guys. But if you've got any questions or comments about, for Ronnie, please put them into the chat and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can. I mean, can't believe it's already almost been half an hour, and we've just like just before I go into the chat, actually, just tell the guys how much you bought and sold a vintage Ralph Lauren P-Wing cardigan for. Just.
I was holding that for a second because I was like, wait, where did we go? When you were talking, I was like, what did we I have a habit of just going left.
No,
fast.
It's fine. It's fine.
Across 3 lanes of traffic, no blinkers. But we found it for $9, and all this stuff you can go to our Instagram at HART Pickers, and cool. We have pictures on there and stuff like that. You could see some of the sales.
I'll put the link for that in the description as well. And if Bumcrack Pickers in the chat, maybe he'll be nice enough to share the Instagram as well.
My wife found it, actually. She found it while going through the thing, and I told her, like, if you see anything unusual by Ralph Lauren, pick it up. And she was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I was like, what you got. Like, I didn't even know it was worth as much as it was. I was thinking a few hundred. And then we turned around. I listed it for like 900 because I seen one similar sell for like 7-ish. So I was like, that way if I run a sale, and I forget to not include it, it wouldn't like kill me. If we did like 15 or 20% off, it's still going to sell above where I want it to be. I think we paid to have it dry clean, like $6 or something like that.
So you were $15 all in, and you sold it for.
And it sold in like 2 or 3 days, I think, for $720.
Man, that's incredible. We've got a question here that was earlier on in the chat from Flippin' Fantastic Finds, who's Kelly, and she asks, like, do you find the buyers of higher value items less stressful, less returns, or the other way? How would you overall describe that?
You get more returns, I think, with high dollar items. People buy something for $100, $120, especially suits and sport coats. and you're gonna get more returns most likely because some are tailored to fit somebody, or like recently you found a bunch of what what are they from Seville Row, Anderson and Shepherd, like suits and sport coats. They're made specifically for somebody. I mean, all you English people know what I'm talking about. You go to their shops, they go through several fittings, have a suit specifically made for somebody, and they cost huge money. They're like
You say
probably
that, Ronnie, but
now.
you've picked up brands that are made here that I've never seen here. So, you know, I will say it. But yeah, you're right. Savile Row is known for like bespoke suits and bespoke tailoring. And so you actually found was a bunch of coats that were,
By
yeah, yeah.
Anderson and Shepherd, and there's other brands like other companies like Henry Poole and Richard James, and there's a few others, and they're just, I find them here. I don't know what it is. I mean, we found a bunch of English-made Turnbull and Astor dress shirts not too long ago. I sold one of them for
Shelley in the
55.
chat is a big fan of Turnbull and Astor. I'm pretty sure she's sold a few of their shirts in the past as well. So you find some really like quintessentially like high-end English clothing. Really, it's pretty amazing. And actually, I wanted to ask you this because obviously you said you live in like a bit of a touristy area, and it's quite like a affluent area. How do you feel about competition? Do you feel when you're out there looking through the racks for clothes and you're scanning for this stuff, do you feel that kind of either that guy over there or that girl over there, or do you feel that there is much competition, or do you find that you're left to your own devices when you go into a charity shop, thrift store as you'd call it?
Yeah. At our local stores, we have 2 local stores in our town, a Goodwill and a Salvation Army. Now, all of Cape Cod in general is like 13 towns and probably upwards of 250,000 people. We have 1 Salvation Army, 1 Goodwill, and they are smaller stores. So it is definitely it's a fight to get stuff. You have to go to that store every day, to put yourself in the position to find something. You can't miss a day or you'll miss an item, basically, is how that works out. You want to be in the right place when somebody dropped off their 20 shirts or something, and we do find things in a bunch of different, like where you could tell it was all from one guy. Like we found a few, my wife found 10 dress shirts that belonged to, you could tell it was the same guy. They're all the same size, 16 and a half neck, 32, 33 sleeves, or 34, 35 sleeves. Had to be the same guy. The Anderson and Shepherd suits and sport coats were all for the same person. They had the name cut out, but you can see the manufacturer date was all the same, basically. So, it's enjoyable, but there's a lot of other people out there, and you kind of know which people are going to go through what areas of the store. They have stores put out all day long. So it's not like it's a mad dash in the middle of the morning or a mad dash at the end of the day because they're putting stuff out all day long. You could go to the store twice a day if you could. Once you get out of those 2 stores, though, it takes me, I have to go 45 minutes to the closest
Wow.
Goodwill, which is actually in Quincy, Massachusetts.
45 minutes. See, that's
outside the suburb of Boston.
so that's actually quite a significant drive. 45 minutes. I mean, and on average, so when you're like doing your your due diligence, you're going through the racks and like RoboCop scanning them for the next high-end item, yeah, how long do you spend in a store typically?
I would say I try to keep it, because we go through the men's stuff, and I'll glance through the electronics, because I actually love electronics, but I don't love shipping them. I don't love testing them. If I see something that catches my eye, I'm very much over there, like, hey, checking it out. And my dad's a very big like hi-fi guy, and just recently he's starting to look for a receiver. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll find him a nice Samsung receiver, or I know he doesn't like Marantz. He's like dead set on either a Panasonic, I think, or or a Samsung. He has like very specific models, and of course, if I find one, it'd be like, hey, look what I got, yeah. But it's you got to go out, and that's when we go out. We go out for there's a bunch of different stores. We'll try to hit like 10 stores in one day because you are driving further out. You want to make sure you go to a bunch of different stores and kind of spend your day doing it. You don't want to go there just for one store. It would make no sense to waste all that gas and mileage and time. So I go out, make that day, 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day. Most of the stores here start at like 9 in the morning.
Wow. So that's like
And
that's a long shift. No, because it's good to get this side of the story as well, because it's very easy to just be like, hey guys, check out this dude Ronnie. He just buys like high end clothes and sells cardigans for $700. But there's work involved. There's a lot of work involved. So if you're doing this throughout the week, that's a substantial amount of mileage and time you're putting in.
I definitely I love the sourcing part of it. That's why I don't think it matters. If you're doing something you love and you go to a bunch of stores, the only problem is like if you don't find anything the first 2 or 3 stores.
That was going to be my next question. Like, how do you keep your chin up when you're not hitting any decent finds, and you've got to stay motivated, and you're then faced with another rack of clothing, and you're just thinking, man, am I even going to find anything today? The first 3 stores, I went through all this stuff and I found nothing. Like, how do you snap out of that?
Just keep going. You just keep pushing forward. There's nothing you can do. Do
you keep a picture of your biggest sales on your phone and just go, that's why I'm going to keep going?
I look at the next bill that's due this month. Oh, you gotta go, boy. You gotta go. You got no choice. Like car payments due.
Yeah.
Health insurance, this, that. Bills aren't gonna pay themselves. I was the moron that decided to go out and buy almost a $60,000 SUV with like $2,000 down. Like, I got 2.9% financing. I'm 3 years into that loan, and I'm like, oh, I hate this damn truck. I'm gonna like every month.
My car is a 2002 Honda, so I'm alright. I'm okay. It just keeps running.
If you interview me in like 2030, I will still be driving this damn thing. I'll be still driving my Suburban. I will drive that thing till it falls apart, either from the rust from the roads or salt they put down for the snow or what.
So it's just good to know, like, so you know that it can be quite a grind, but you see it as the most enjoyable part of the job, so it makes it feel less like work. But still, no mistake, it is work. I mean, you're doing, you're out all day looking and hunting for stock. Definitely isn't easy. I'm just going to just dip into the chat and see if there's any questions that have come in for you, because I'm pretty sure there's people that want to ask a few questions. I just need to find them. Let me just scroll down. Andrew says, these brands are beyond me. Does Ronnie sell Primark at all? Yeah, I don't think Primark is like our super budget. I don't know if you have Primark in States. You probably don't, but
I like Old Navy.
Really cheap, stack it high type stuff. Deep End of the Sandbox asks, are charity shops in the UK actually for charity? Our thrift stores are private for profit corporations? They are charities. Most of our charity shops are for charity, but depending on who you ask, some of them are run and do have paid CEOs and things like that. So yeah. Tommy's asking, does Ronnie have connections at any of his stores?
You get friendly with people. You get friendly with the managers. I mean, they know what you do after a while. They see you in the store every day. They see you buying stuff. I mean, there's only so much clothing one person can collect. I mean, they know what you do. I mean, it gets very evident very quickly, and I don't try to hide it or anything. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. They have one thing to do: get rid of stock. It's no different than any other place. And they may price things too high. And if it sits there quite a few days, I may, if I'm friendly with the manager, hey, I seen you had something over there. Could you do a little bit better on the price? They most likely know what that piece is. If they've had it there or something over there, can you do better on that? Or if I bought, they may have 10 of something. Hey, if I bought, and it sits there a few days, I bought 10, could I do better? And sometimes it works really well if it's before like a half off day or something like that. And you try to say, hey, you know what? I can do a third. If you do a third, can you cut a third off of that? And they're thinking to themselves, well, it's 2 more hours in the day. Tomorrow's half off. I'm getting more for that item today than if I wait for tomorrow. And they know that they already got you on the hook because you already buy from the stores anyway. Like one guy says, I'm the one that keeps the lights on in the store. I buy so much there.
I thank you for the super chat, Tracy, for the motor oil fund for the Honda. Yeah, there's a joke that I'd never fill the car up with oil, and I take it to my mechanic, and it's normally pretty low. So yeah, thank you, Tracy. Just following on to that from that previous question, Kelly asked, like, here in the UK, like often people have contacts like in the store that hold things back for them. Do you ever have anything like that where anyone that's working there knows, okay, Ronnie likes Brioni, or he likes this, or he likes that, oh, there's a pair of Shell Cordovan shoes, he'll like those. Do you have anything like that, or is that just a no?
Nah, I mean, nobody. I mean, we've had a few people we've talked to. We say what we look for, but at the end of the day, these stores change over their rotation of people so quick and so often that it doesn't matter anyway. I mean, one person used to text me stuff. There's another reseller that used to go out. She doesn't like men's stuff, but if she sees something, she would actually buy it and let me know later. Or she would send me like a text message like, hey, I found this shoe with breasted. But it got too much to deal with her too because, she didn't understand, like, just buy anything that said this brand on it and it could be 20 years old. The older style suit is not really worth as much as a nicer new suit. So there's times where I pass Brioni in the thrift store. I see it and I see it's like this 70s looking Brioni. They want like $30 for it. It's like big old lapels and 3-button front and double pleated pants and shit. I'm like,
So there's a bit of knowledge again, though, like what to avoid within a certain brand, because it's not just the fact of picking up a brand and being like, okay, I'm gonna pick this up no matter what. I mean, I've got to be honest, when I first saw like Xenia, because I have my own bin that I go to, not my own personal bin, but we have a single bin in one of our charity shops where they put men's clothes, and I call it the bin because I'm so jealous of all the Americans talking about the bins and the Goodwill outlet, and they go there and there's this massive warehouse. We have a single bin, that's it, and it's quite small as well. And I saw a Xenia shirt in there, and when I saw it, like, the first name that came into my head was yours, and I think it was actually Rakin as well, Steve Rakin. I remember him mentioning Xenia as well, and just I was so excited to find it. I didn't even care if it was a good or a bad Xenia. It was a Xenia, and I'd seen the, and I saw Pendleton as well, and that just blew my mind. We don't get that over here. I mean, you've picked up John Lobb shoes, for God's sake. How'd you do that? John Lobb, we don't even. I've never seen a pair of John Lobb shoes here.
I even picked up a pair of women's ones not too long.
Women's ones as well. Amazing.
I was on the fence about buying those because they had them at $20, and I was like, do I want to buy these? Do I want to buy these? But then when I checked comps, they weren't selling all that well. But it was like, I'm gonna give it a chance anyway. I hate women's shoes. I should stay away from, to tell you the truth. They take forever for me to sell. Like, man, I'll buy them because they're based on name, but it doesn't seem like women's shoes sell all that fast.
I just want to touch on your like turnaround time of things, because you've mentioned quite often, like, when I'm listening to you talk, you're mentioning like one of the key things you're looking at is how long do you think this item's going to take to flip, right? So what would you say is your maximum that you like, that you're willing to tolerate an item in your inventory before you do something drastic with it? I.e., do you, and what do you do if something doesn't sell once it's reached that kind of mental thing? Do you just redonate it, or do you stick it on an auction? What's your game plan when that happens?
For a while, we were doing auctions. We'd auction stuff probably like every quarter. We'd go through and say, okay, these things got to get auctioned off. But to the point now, the last year, I haven't done that. It's just, it sells when it sells. Eventually it will sell. I don't care how long it takes, because I feel like I'm picking up good quality stuff, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes you just got to wait for that right person, and I'll sit there and I'll wait. We had something sell last night, sitting there for 9 months, no interest in it whatsoever. We had sold something over a pair of women's shoes over the weekend. I had to sit around for like a year, but That brand I probably should have just stayed behind because there wasn't even any listed out of the time on eBay. It was like you see the price tag for like $700 with the box and everything. You're like, you find the website and you're like, oh wow, they're not doing that bad. And then when you go to list on eBay, it's
No
like
one. It's like tumbleweed.
you're like, ooh, is that even, you're like, is anybody even looking for this? Like, but they did stuff.
So you're willing to just wait now, but you're still keeping that high average. That sell through rate is still going well. I mean, but do you if something is stale though? I mean, a year is quite a long time. I mean, I don't know. You're quite happy. How would you let it go for a year and a half? Maybe even longer, or?
I let things sit forever. And I'm not in a. It just depends on what it is, but I don't like doing auctions as much anymore. So I'll just let stuff sit. Like if it takes 2 years, it takes 2 years. Like I'm not worried about it anymore.
Okay.
Like I don't care.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
It's just one of those things. It's like not everything sells unfortunately quick. Like we had a bunch of things we listed 57, I think 4 or 5 that sold yesterday. All were from that. Like within the last batch of listing. They all sold like within 2 days, but that doesn't always happen. Sometimes I could put stuff on and that new batch of stuff, like I'm waiting for one thing to sell like 6-7 days later, and I'm like, what happened here? Nobody interested.
Do you ever feel like you're losing your touch when something like that happens, or do you ever question yourself, or when things like that happen, when you think you've picked up a surefire winning item and it doesn't perform like you expect, like it takes that much longer or whatever, do you ever get that doubt in your head and then snap out of it, or what's the feelings there?
There's never any doubt.
Never. So okay, fair enough.
Feel that we do this all day long. Like
your ish don't stink.
I hope so.
No, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Also, just touching on prices, like again, you've been talking about the kind of items you're picking up. Have you noticed recently prices going up in your local thrift stores to the point where it's becoming, you're starting to leave certain brands behind? Do you think that's just the way it always is? Because you mentioned earlier that just because you were selling 20 brands a while ago, that doesn't mean those same 20 brands are going to be selling now. I mean, how do you balance that, like the cost of like the rising prices that you might be seeing versus brands coming in and out of favor, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what thrift stores we go to. Our Goodwill and Salvation Army, for the most part, are fairly reasonable. Like we paid some dress shirts, we paid $8, and people were like, "Oh, why would you pay $8?" I think the average, we found 10 of them, and the average was $7. A few were at $5.99, one was at $6.99. Majority of them were at $7.99. We sold one today for $85. So I already cleared basically all my money on one shirt. I get to sell the other 9 shirts now and make my profit. Yeah, most people in the chat would be like, I wouldn't pay $8 for a shirt, but it's knowing, they're more higher quality shirts. They're gonna sell. Some stores, I mean, they know what they got these days. They're hooked up. Everybody's hooked up to a phone. Everybody's hooked up to social media. And to tell you the truth, if you're a manager of a Goodwill, Salvation Army, Savers, whatever thrift store it is, you should have some freaking idea what you're selling. And thrift shopping in America has been very, very hip for the last 5-6 years now. It's in mainstream as it wasn't. I mean, there was
it's the same here now. It's normal to go into a thrift store. Yeah.
In America and probably other parts of the country. That song I doubt was just a hit here. So, and then you see it on TV. You see different things. You see articles. It's out there like crazy nowadays. Like it's not uncommon to see people that are lawyers, doctors,
shopping in a thrift. Yeah. Just want to shout out Krillin. Rob has super chatted $5. Thank you, Rob. Says too many people are focused on percentage rather than dollar amount. I would rather turn 5 to 25 than 1 to 10. Also, people don't want to adjust to sourcing patterns. It's a fair point. I've seen a few other comments. A lot of Josh is in the chat as well. Hi, Josh. Josh says he hasn't quite worked up the courage to ask for any deals from the thrift stores, but if you don't try, you won't know, I would say. And let's see what other comments we've had. About me falling into bins. Apparently I fell into a bin. It's not true. It's not true. This is all Tommy's and Rod's fault. And
I never go. That's why I never go dumpster diving.
yeah.
I make all the dumpster, not get out.
Nick Knack says Ronnie finds high quality items in affluent areas and Z rummages through bins for his stock. It's a bit mean, but yes, that is facts. I get my clothes from the bin. I'm not confident enough in like paying like normal charity shop prices because they can be quite high. Whereas at the bin, everything's £1.50, so I can just let loose and there's no risk involved really. So
we have a bin store in Boston. It's Goodwill outlet. And it's next to a huge Goodwill retail store, and they have like a training facility there and everything. Really huge building. And on one side, they have this little door. It goes to the outlet. It's real small in there. But man, I tell you right now, it's like throwing a shank bulletproof vest. You have 45 on you. Like,
no, it's nothing like that in my bin.
It's a little rough. Like, I'm not even a fan of anybody. Like
that sounds very different. Yeah, I definitely don't want to be packing heat to go to the bin.
I can block a bin pretty well. But man, those people are rough in there. And the shoes drive me crazy because it's like sometimes they're together, but sometimes you find one shoe and you're looking for the other shoe and you see it in the guy's cart and you're like, really? Yeah. In that cart. And I hate getting no cart because they only have so many carts and everybody lines them up against the wall. Like this bin etiquette and stuff and like that, or whatever you want to call it, man.
No, I think your bins sound very different to my.
You went to Portland, Oregon?
Yeah.
Portland, Maine. It's very quiet, very nice. You probably go into the bin. They're like, "Oh, sorry, sir, you want that?" But areas of the country like that one, and it's in a not a great area either.
No, our bin is. I think our bin is very different, and it is bin singular. In case you're wondering, Ronnie, I keep saying bin because there is just literally the one. I mean,
I may try to make a video, but the last time I think we were in there, my wife. You know how like they'll just put out the new bins.
Yeah.
And my wife kind of walked over. She didn't see anybody else going to it. She went to it. And the security guard was like, get out of there.
Oh,
of course,
wow.
I had to start getting like it. Don't talk to my wife like that. It's my wife. Only I can talk to her.
Shelley says, I found a Peter Millar golf top and all I could hear is Ronnie saying, this is a Peter Millar. So you've helped many people with brands, definitely. And David M, the car boot picker says, yeah, if anybody hasn't subscribed to Ronnie, oh my god, his clothing sales make Fort Knox look like nothing. Yes, definitely Ronnie's clothing sales, just generally his business model, his attitude, as you can tell just from this chat, hopefully is definite YouTube follow. You got to subscribe to this guy. If you don't, there's something wrong with you, honestly. So yeah, definitely. Let's see what other comments there are. Oh gosh, just scroll down. Shazad says you need the right mentality. It's called long tail for a reason. Yeah, I suppose when it comes to holding on to stock, and I can be very guilty of being very short. I get itchy teeth almost. I'm like, when I see stuff sat there, I'm like, it's not gone yet. It's still there. Vulture the dumpster diver says, what if you're an eBay beginner and have low-end items, not a big profit? How long would you leave it for sale?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because I wouldn't know. Maybe try auctions. Maybe auctions is better for lower price things. Price it at what you want and let it go, and don't price it. I mean, when you do auctions, I hate the whole 99-cent thing because technically one person bids on it. That's it. It's a wrap and you lose money. You need kind of multiple people to want to have that item. And I don't see it happen with lesser dollar items. So I'd price it at whatever you wanted to get for it. And, lesser price things may sell a little bit better at auction than some of the higher price things, because I think everybody's looking for a deal with certain things.
Just to kind of recap that bit, because I remember you said earlier that, you know, when you first started you were scanning books and you know, that kind of stuff, and then you realize that clothing is where you're kind of into. And I know you've said in the past you don't do clothing because you like love clothing or anything. I mean, your love is more to do with things like the signs you've got up on the wall, right? I mean, I remember you had this giant.
But that, man, tell you right now, that's a cutthroat business. Like, people that deal in the sign world, because there's not a huge amount of people, they cut the rope. They'll cut over anybody. Like, it's too cutthroat for me. Like, because I'm literally, I lose out on a deal, and a lot of people backdoor deals and stuff like that. Like, you'll see something on Marketplace, you're the first person on it, then all of a sudden they're talking to you like, hey, can you pick it up this time, blah blah blah. You go to do it, and then all of a sudden, like, a few hours later, they're like, oh,
it's gone.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to sell it now.
So you've
and
been,
then a day later, you see Tom, Dick, and Harry have it on in one of the sign groups for sale, and you're like, SOB, you.
But I'm gonna have to reel you back in. What I wanted to know is, like, so you started off with all, you know, scanning books, etc. Like, how long into your journey did you kind of start feeling like you were now aiming at this higher end or higher average selling price clothing market? And when you first started picking up clothes, surely you didn't just go straight in for the you know, the Briones and the Savile Row suits and the Shell Cordovan shoes. You must have worked your way up to that point. You wouldn't have surely just known, unless that's the case.
No. It definitely was a learning curve. Definitely, I went through a lot of sourcing online. Like, I used to, I still go there. There's a thing called the Style Forum, and it's a forum. You know, it's old school like forum. It's, you know, a little bit different from today's stuff. And I used to go through there and check out stuff and, you know, see what other people, because they have like different threads and stuff like that, and used to go through it. And then from that, I seen this article where this guy has a store. It's Lux Swap. It's on eBay and everything. And homie talked about how he thrifted enough money to buy a Ferrari.
Oh wow! Okay.
I was like, oh,
there's something here.
Kind of get into it, you know. And then, you know, a good friend from that group is in this chat here, the Seam Store West. I talked to him, you know, message back and forth. You know, he's another clothing seller. He's helped me out with certain things like networking and putting yourself out there in these videos has actually helped learn more, because you're helping them show something. And then when they see you get something, and maybe it's a certain pattern that will sell well, or a certain material in a certain brand, they'll be like, oh, I think you can get more for that. Or I've sold that. You can do this and that. And it, you know, works both ways. We've gotten stuff from other people, like, you know, like people, hey, I want to get out of eBay, you know, buy stuff. And that kind of works to a point, but part of the point is I hate about that is because they sourced it, not me. So you get some good stuff, but then you get all the bits and pieces that you're like,
see, just scratching beneath the surface, you start to realize that there is so much more to how you've gotten to the place you are now, where you with how you make your buying decisions. I mean, you're probably the first clothing reseller that I've spoken to or heard that's actually mentioned, I joined like a forum, you know, like an old school forum. I mean, that is, you know, but that just shows that you're prepared to do more than just a very quick, just eBay sold set, you know, that, because people like to think they're putting the work in when they're just checking out sold listings. I'm doing a bit of research, I'm just checking out sold listings. Sold listings are only ever going to show you so much, whereas actually being in the place where you can communicate with people, like you mentioned, the guy in the chat, was it the Seam Store, and actually being able to communicate with people like that in a forum dedicated to style and fashion is going to teach you infinitely more. I mean, that, even to me, that's common sense, and that's saying something. So yeah, that's really good tip.
There's people, I mean, just I make videos, so I put myself out there, and we'll do like probably $150,000-$160,000 this year. I mean, some of that, a few signs, a few like wholesale things that we, not wholesale, I shouldn't say that, almost like a personal buyer thing. There's like 15, 20 people that if I find specific things in certain sizes, they want basically first offer. And I don't even have to put it on eBay. A few pictures. Hey, you interested? And of course, I give them a little bit better deal. They send money. Most of them now send money friends and family on PayPal, so it's no fees involved or anything like that. A few guys still want to be invoiced, and I understand that. Like they want to know what they bought and stuff like that, But a lot of stuff just goes here and there these days, and you really have to, you want to sell something, you have to know about it, sell it. You can't. And a lot of these guys, like Wes and other people, they make my numbers look small. Like they're doing a lot more. They're inspiration for me to kind of
well 150k turnover on eBay is not something to be sniffed at. I think that would put you easily in the top couple of percent of most eBay sellers, and then it just becomes very, because that would push you right up there. And then if there's people dwarfing what you're doing in the
guys out of the house or out of square footage under 1,000 square feet, maybe.
No, but that's still, obviously bearing in mind the other variables, that we are operating from home, etc. That's, you're pretty much maxing out, I would say, what can be achieved from just selling clothes from home. I mean, that's pretty amazing. That's pretty good. Shelley says, total confidence from Ronnie there, contrast to my panic price dropping when I don't sell something in the first couple of months. And again, that confidence comes from going that layer deeper. Like you've got confidence in your knowledge because you've been, you're getting schooled by people that are like, even to where you are, even better, as it were. I don't want to say that with like I'm throwing shade at you or anything. I'm not, but yeah, the Seam Store actually said that's the forum that you mentioned. That's where he learned. Style Forum. That's how I learned. Yeah. So yeah, that's really, really interesting, because like I said, having spoken to quite a few people, it's not very often that they go to that extra level of research, and I think that says a lot. Okay, wow, Krillin has donated another $2 through Super Chat. Says here, Lux's sales on eBay are in the millions. Well, I mean, of course, I'm saying when you're working from home, I'm sure that there are people that are doing probably hundreds of millions on eBay. I get that, Rob, but thank you nonetheless. All right, let's go down and see if there's any more comments and questions, because we're actually just over the hour, which is, it's gone quick, Ronnie. I hope you've not found it too painful. Right. Just going to go through and see what people are saying. Andrew says, I love buying stuff from Zahir when he runs an auction. Yeah, he got a shirt from me for 99p. We need Ronnie to source for clothing and shoes in England and Europe, says Mark.
My wife, because she works for JetBlue and another corporation, so she gets a lot of, you get free tickets for the most part.
It would be so cool if you were actually to go on holiday and do like a sourcing video. See what
we've thought about going to like France and Italy and UK.
Yeah,
probably over the
that would be cool.
Confirmed, yeah, because I hate to plan out too far in advance because so many different things like change. I'll say I'm doing something, but then my wife finds a job and she finds something she really likes, and she's like, "Well, I don't feel like giving that up to do this," and it's kind of like there's a give and take in a relationship, or you're gonna be, you know how that is. You're married.
Yeah, exactly. Thrift BCQ, thank you, has super chatted as well and says thanks Zahir and Ronnie for the knowledge. It's mostly Ronnie, let's be honest. No need to be nice, but thank you. It was my okay. I think Tracy Uniquely Me asks, what was the first item you sourced to flip? Can you remember that far back, Ronnie?
I remember my first clothing item.
Oh yeah, that's even better. Yeah.
My first clothing item was one of these Christian Dior like raincoats that you do see quite often now. They're not really worth jack. I had that thing listed for like 10 months. I think I paid like $15, sold it for like 35.
So now you look back and laugh at it. But at the time that's how you cut your teeth, I suppose, isn't it? It's And Kent says, you mean eBay is not broken? Not for everyone, Kent. Ronnie's doing just fine. And for a lot of people, I mean, again, I mean, what's your opinion on that? Let's hear your input. I want to hear Ronnie Hart's input on the recent changes eBay have made. How much did Good Till the change, for example? Let's break it down. How much did the change from 30 10-day listings and 15-day listings to just Good Till Cancel for everything affect your business? Just that.
It didn't really affect it all too much because we're actually up this year. We're up probably 30% at least across the board, I would say. Last year was a really bad year, and I kind of stopped messing with eBay for several months. Not several months. Good 4 or 5 months. I just didn't want to mess with eBay. We did a lot more on Amazon last year. We'll probably do the same we did last year, but we're probably going to make more money because I didn't have the wife helped a little bit more last year. She didn't help me this year at all. I kind of worked better by myself. But I mean, there's changes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's changes for a reason. The reason why they don't do the listings anymore is because now you can send offers to buyers. They need that whole contrast to do that. People wanted to send offers to buyers like Poshmark and stuff like that. Well, to do it, you had to change the program a little bit. So you get give and take. You want something, but something else has to give in the same time. eBay's biggest problem going forward is probably getting, I would say, the under 35 crowd looking on eBay, because I don't think eBay's their first place. I would tell you most of our buyers are probably, 35 plus.
Yeah.
And your PayPal, like I said, there's reports. If you went under reports on PayPal and went under them, it shows you some reports. Now it's not 100% because it only show like 50%, and they say 50% unavailable. But you get a good idea of like, oh wow,
who your customer is.
35 to 44 year men, and the majority of them seem to have a decent paying job. But then we sell suits and sport coats that sell for good money, and they're probably the people that are looking for that. They don't want to buy a new. I mean, why would you go into a high-end department store and spend $2,000 on a Brioni suit or $3,000 when you can go on eBay and buy it for $200-300? Everybody's looking to save money these days. And if you can save money and you know what you're looking for, and you trust the buyer, you can do it.
I don't want to cut you off, but I'm going to have to, because Shazad his aim is to mercilessly mock me, and his super chatted £2 and said, Z has taught me so much. My RC sales are insane. He's taking the piss out of me because he doesn't sell RC. But yeah, carry on. Like, yeah, in terms of like the whole change to.
The thing that drives me crazy most are the bad spells we have on eBay. I buy a good portion of stuff on eBay because I'm bored. I go and check out people's auctions and see what's going on. I'll buy stuff here and there. And they'll be like new condition. The damn thing, the armpits are blown out. I talked about this in a video the other day. It's like, those are the people that someone buys 1 or 2 times on eBay. They don't want to go back to eBay. They're like, oh, this is a shit show.
I just want to point that out. Something there, like a lot of people have been talking about how these changes have been so negative and damaging. Yet you've just said the thing that bothers you the most is actually other bad, sellers, bad sellers. That is more of a problem for you than eBay changing to Good Till Cancel.
Yeah. They're the ones that are going to turn people off of eBay.
Yeah.
It's a change here or there on a seller's part. It's like, okay, we have to adapt. Everything changes. Look at cars and how they've changed over the years. I mean, in another 10 years, we'll have self-driving cars, most likely. Like, shit changes. We used to change your oil every 3,000 miles, and oil change is $10. Now we go and it's synthetic oil, change oil every 10 to 12,000 miles or 5,000, and it's $80. Like, shit just changes. Like, you have to adapt to it and move on and not get complacent in something. We used to write checks for everything. Nobody writes a check anymore.
Another shout out to Chernok's, or is it Cernok or Chernok's Connection? Again, another guy that's actually really knowledgeable when it comes to clothing, has his own YouTube channel as well. Super chatted $2 and says, "Mad respect to both of you. Ronnie knows his stuff." I'm liking that strategically worded comment. I do appreciate it. I get a little bit of respect, but Ronnie's the one out of us two that knows his stuff 100%. Moving on from that, the seller specifics, the item specifics for clothing, how did that impact you, if at all?
And when they talked about it happening and they were saying sizes left out, I looked at it. I seen there was a little bit of a little bit of issue. I went in single-handedly, just went top to bottom, put the highest dollar amount first, went through and changed every damn listing. And that's what I did. I spent 8 hours or something about it, but I didn't. My eBay store never skipped a beat. My eBay store just kept on going. Maybe they were gonna fix it, but I wasn't gonna wait on eBay to fix it. I mean, it's part of our job. Like, if your computer crashed at work and something happened and you lost it, you wouldn't be like, well, maybe IT fixed that in a few days. Like, no, you're gonna get back to work and you're gonna fix it. Like, what are you gonna do? You just have to fix it. It's part of life. Shit happens. You adapt to it and move on.
I've got to say, I do like the proactive attitude. I've got to admit though, I was someone that was moaning about it, because I like to moan. Who doesn't like to moan? But the facts are, you're right. If it's, you can either sit there and just wait for them to fix it. I think a lot of people were getting upset that it was removing data that they'd input, etc. But you're right. In the end, to keep things moving, you had to just go in and manually adjust everything. So you did that. I mean, obviously it helps that you didn't have a huge inventory, but it still would have been quite a sizable task, especially when you've got when you're relying on that income.
I would have cried. I tell you right now, I would have cried.
Yeah,
I would have been drinking a whole bottle of rum and taking care of them. Who knows how that would.
But that's a good point. It really is. It is being proactive is so much better, and it just saves you a lot of stress as well. And the Seam Store says they fixed it, but it took over a month for mine to get adjusted. And that must have had some kind of impact. Well, thing is, that's really refreshing to hear. You're like mainly in clothes. You weren't bothered about good till cancelled, and the clothing item specific change, which, I mean, YouTube is filled with videos about this as well, about the hassle it's caused people, the loss of sales and the loss of traffic, and you seem to be just just
because it's easier for someone to complain about it than actually put in the work to do it. There's people that make a YouTube video because they know that'll bring views and that they'll get all the people, the people that have lost a little bit of sales. They're like, oh, I'm down 20%. And a lot of people, it drives me crazy. I'm going to say it.
Go for it.
Sell used clothing, pre-owned clothing. Trust me, fourth quarter is not going to be booming. I'm sorry. Like, it gets better. Like, you get out of summer, it gets better, of course. And I know with what we sell, like, people are looking for suits and sport coats for Christmas and, the holiday season. They want to wear something. Maybe they're going somewhere. And it gets in first quarters, though, where it's usually really good for us. From, like, mid-January to, like, April, or the end of April is usually our better months. And, and then that a lot of that's because of what I sell also. Weddings, Easter, I think, holidays, people are looking for that kind of thing. Because about a third of our store on eBay is now suits and sport coats. I think 20% of it might be another item. So it's like I get certain times of year, like Christmas. I mean, summer will screw me because when you have such a high inventory amount of certain thing and you're going into a time of year when nobody's looking for wool suits and sport coats, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But you adapt to it. And that's why I kind of take off the summer. I kind of let off a little bit. I still go out. I still look for things, but I kind of like to lay low. I help my friend at his restaurant and stuff like that. And it's good. I like breaking away from it too, just so I don't get like the burnt out, like, feeling like, every day I'm just in front of a computer on eBay trying to find something or a thrift store. because summertime thrift stores get a little bare, and people are yard selling. They're not really giving up stuff to the thrift stores, so thrift stores can get a little dry also.
It's good to be practical. I think sometimes, when you're obviously on YouTube and you're watching a lot of channels, especially when it does come to fourth quarter, it is the buzz, isn't it? I think everyone's hoping fourth quarter sales, but you're right, it's not going to impact every store in the same way. It just isn't. And it's like you said, especially if you're just selling used clothes, it's a gifting season. People are going to be buying new items, and they're going to be buying toys and maybe collectibles or something, or unique items to an extent. If they know they've got a loved one that's into something, they might go on eBay and look for that, but it's mostly going to be like new giftable items rather than used. So definitely. Looks like Shazad's been timed out by Tommy in the chat. I'm sure that was an error on Tommy's behalf, although I may have to de-spanner Tommy if any more of these infringements happen. We can't have Shazad being banned from the chat. Yeah, Shazad's a regular. Tommy's this must have. Right, let's have a look at some more comments. The Seam Store says the kicker was when they changed necktie widths from skinny to narrow and basically stranded 900 of my tie listings. It's a lot of tie listings. That was a lot of extra work for no reason. I can only imagine. That just sounds on a big scale. And Shelley has a question for you as well, and says, question, which YouTube channels does Ronnie keep up with?
YouTube channels.
Oh, just be honest.
I'm trying to think, because I don't watch
this one, right? This one.
I do watch YouTube. There's a few other English YouTube. I can't. The problem is there's so many channels nowadays, and you watch a few different people, like John Cincinnati Picker. I enjoy watching, and Lonnie Garage Flips, and who else? Those two I enjoy because it's different than what I do. So it's a little bit different. In their different areas. I love people in different areas of the country. Pete, the Craigslist hunter, because there's things, Terminal 99, they do different things. There's a few clothing sellers I watch, like, what's his name? Thrift Fever, Rick. I've talked to him many times, and he's a guy that kind of sells like what I sell. He's in a different area of the country. So it's interesting to see what he's finding in his area versus what I'm finding here and stuff like that. He lives in a decent area too, where he's finding good brands and stuff like that. So it's always fun, and it's also good to kind of keep up and see what others are selling. But man, too many videos. Everybody makes a video. Some people make videos every day. It's really hard to keep up with everybody. But if I count listing, I have 8 hours, I can keep up for a little bit. But
so are we going to be seeing more content on a regular basis? That's what a lot of people are going to want to know as well.
Well, that was two of my plans coming up for this year, was kind of to make more videos, understanding how to kind of like edit videos a little bit. And I've started to do that, kind of get into like a daily routine. I need to figure out how to use this Stream Live thingy, or whatever the hell this thing is called, a little bit.
If you need any help, I'm more than willing to talk you through it. It's really simple. I'm more than happy to do that. But as long as we're going to get more content, because I think that you've got so much to offer. I mean, people in the chat have just been saying that, and it really isn't about blowing smoke up your ass. It is, you can just tell when someone knows what they're talking about, when someone's been through when they've been through the grinder to actually get to a stage where you can actually say, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. So definitely it'd be good to see more content coming out. Wow, we've got about 160 plus people in the chat at the moment, which is lovely. If you enjoyed the stream, please leave a thumbs up, but also make sure you go over and subscribe to Ronnie's channel. I have actually put the link in the description, I'm pretty certain, but if not, Ronnie can chat something in there. But also I think BCP is in the chat, and I'm sure he will liberally sprinkle Ronnie's channel link in the chat, so please go over there and subscribe. Ronnie Ronnie is going to be putting videos out going forward, and even if he doesn't put anything out for the next day or two or next week, there's plenty to go back and watch, and you will see some amazing stuff. I mean, just one final knowledge bomb, as we like to call it now. Tell us about your love of shell cordovan shoes. Thank you for subscribing, Lisa, by the way. Yeah. Tell us about shell cordovan shoes. How did you come across shell cordovan?
It was something. I think I was watching oh shit, what was the name of it? Because I kind of knew about it, but I didn't really. It took me a little while. There's a website, shell cordovan, to figure out what models are actually shell cordovan. But I was watching where it really hit me was watching one of Scavenger Life's videos, and they talked about selling a pair. And I've like heard about it. I've even found one pair in the past, but it made me want to all of a sudden research more about it. And then I found the webpage and, you know, kind of went into like, okay, let me look now and figure out things. And, you know, it was fun, you know, and I think I talked about it in the video and everything like that, a little bit about it. Just because it is out there. It's not common because a lot of brands, because it's like made off of horse's hide or something, horse leather. So it's a little bit different. It's not as common as maybe it was back in the 70s or something like that, or the 80s. So there's a lot less brands that actually do it and stuff like that. But even the vintage shoes,
it doesn't crease like regular leather, doesn't it? I think that's the main thing. It
almost is like a patent leather. Like if it reminds me of patent leather. For some reason, say those two words together for me, it's kind of messed up, but that's what it reminds me of for some reason. But they're durable. I mean, most of those shoes you get it one time, and as long as you resole it, they'll last you your lifetime. Like they're investment shoes, a lot of those ones. And there's, you know, brands from Floor Shine. Like you wouldn't want to pick up a new pair of Floor Shines, but you pick up the nice vintage shell cordovan ones. They do well. With the little V cleat, and you can see the nails on the sole. Like,
just listen to that knowledge, guys. Just listen. That's true knowledge. just dropping it off like it's nothing. I mean, yeah, shell cordovan is just something that's on my bucket list. So if you guys don't know, just to clarify, horse butt shoes, definitely go and look out for them. That's pretty much it, right? Horse butt shoes, they're definitely worth looking out for, and can be worth some serious money. I mean, there's websites like you said out there which help you identify it, which brands do it, etc. But that's on you guys to go and research. And Shazad's just flexing his sales in the chat again. £1,960 on eBay, $3,500 on Amazon. Man, he's basically like a farm. He's like a pharmacy, though. He's like a pharmacy. It's not RC sales. We know you don't sell any RC. Don't stop with the fake news. Yeah, Chernock's Connection says 5-nail V-Cleat. I know, just dropping those terms like everyone should know them. Absolutely amazing. Right. I think on that note, well, we've got over 175 people watching. Like I said, make sure you go over and subscribe to Ronnie's channel. Plenty of amazing content on there that's been on there for a while and deserves to be watched, and he'll be putting out plenty of new videos. Hopefully you won't be a stranger to the channel, and like, you know, it'd be good to chat again soon. You know, make this like a kind of a maybe a every couple of months thing. It would be nice to catch up with you, Ronnie. Enjoyed the chat, so hopefully we are to do that. And apart from that, I think we should call it a night. Is that okay? Sweet.
Sounds good.
Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Thanks for having me on.